Indiana basketball has been very active in the transfer portal, but we've talked a lot about the guards. Indiana needs some big guys.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Well, thank you so much for being here. Hope you're having a fantastic week, and happy April 1st. There are no April Fool's jokes in this show today, I promise. I don't believe in this day, and we're not going to buy into this day, okay? We got a lot to go over, including some football things at the end where Mikail Kamara, who is a stud on the defensive line, is now moving to stud, more of an outside linebacker as an edge. We'll talk later about that in the episode, but Indiana basketball needs bigs. We need big guys. We need centers. We need forwards. Why? Because we currently have zero. That's right. Darian DeVries, new head coach of Indiana basketball, is stepping into a roster that does not exist. And told you yesterday why I think it's going to be okay. There are examples around college basketball that have worked out just fine if you do it the right way. And DeVries has done a good job, I think, of explaining to media and the fans and anybody that'll listen kind of what his process is right now in the transfer portal. And he's made it very clear where he is not going to just grab the biggest names possible. He's not going just to grab somebody just to say they did it. He's going to get player A, player B, and player C because they're all going to gel together. At least that's their hope, right? They're planning on them meshing and them working together and playing off of each other's styles. And DeVries has made it very clear too. They want to run and they want to score and they want to have a high flying offense and a lockdown defense that turns people over. So we've talked a lot about the guards that can do that. Right, with Conwell. We've talked DeVries, who is a bigger guard, more of a forward, kind of a combo, if you will. We've talked about a lot of those guys. But Indiana's going to have some big ones to go along with it, right? You got to have some bigger forwards. You got to have a center or two on this roster because Umar Ballo is gone because of graduation. Malik Renew is gone via the transfer portal, and the landing spots for him have been pretty crazy to look at. So you've got to go get some guys. And we talked about it over the weekend on Sunday. If you missed that episode, go check it out with Floyd Bidunga, who is still not committed anywhere as of this recording. If you're watching this and news has broken, apologies, but we talked about him. Right, the freshman forward from Kansas, 6'9", 220 pounds, averaged 6 points a game, 5 rebounds, and shot it at almost 70% from the floor. One of the highest rated recruits coming out of high school. He played AAU ball right here in Indiana, and we let him walk and get to Bill Self in Kansas. He is one of the most sought after guys in the transfer portal, and I still think Indiana is in the mix to try and land him. But there's a couple of names that you need to know about, and we're going to talk about one from Virginia and one from Santa Clara. We'll start with Christoph Tilly from Santa Clara, and I do want to go ahead and make this statement. I'm not saying that Indiana's at the top of the list. They're going to get them. They're 100% coming to Bloomington. Not saying that at all. Most of these right now are names that I'm looking at, that I'm doing some research on, that I think would fit well, either because of their seniority, or maybe they're kind of younger and have a lot of upside, or maybe they're just a really good player that's flying under the radar. And that's why we're talking about them, because I think they could fit at Indiana, which is still a learning progress, right? We're still trying to figure out exactly what DeVries is wanting and what they're going to do. But I look at a guy like Christoph Tilly. He's at Santa Clara. He just finished up his junior season. So you're going to get somebody who's played several years of college basketball. He's 7 feet tall. ladies and gentlemen, 7 feet tall and 240 pounds. He's originally from Germany, which is kind of cool. He averages 12.5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, and he shoots it at almost 55% from the floor. But what I like to start with is his defense. He's 7 feet tall. He should be able to be good on the defensive end, right? He averages almost a block per game and nearly averages I just had it, almost a steal per game, point eight blocks, point eight steals. So he's averaging almost one per game on the defensive side of the floor. That's exactly what we need. We need somebody who can hold their own against some of these crazy bigs that we see around the Big Ten every single season, and will continue to see around the Big Ten this season, where you have to hold your own. You've got to have the size, you've got to have the physicality, and you also have to be able to do it without fouling, right? That's a big problem that Indiana ran into with Malik Reneau, is he couldn't defend without fouling. He just struggled with that, and it's hard to do now in college basketball with the, oh goodness, how do I keep this clean, with the shakiness of officiating in today's college basketball. And so I think that's why somebody like Tilly is really, really good, because they are defense first. But when you start to watch him, man, pull up the film on this guy. He doesn't look like a 7-foot center. He doesn't move like a 7-foot center. He doesn't cut like a 7-foot center. He doesn't dribble like a 7-foot center. And he doesn't finish like a 7-foot center. He looks like a small forward when he's out on the floor, whether it's setting screens and rolling off of them, whether it's a back cut, whether it's a rebound, whether it's just giving him the ball and he does a little pump fake and goes around somebody. Like, he doesn't operate like a big guy, which is so crazy to watch, but it's like smooth. It's just not slow, but it's just smooth. That's the best word I can come up with. And he just kind of glides through the defense, and he can dunk it. He can finish through contact. He can kind of maneuver himself and Euro step and go up and around. Like, he can finish in ways you're not supposed to as a 7-footer, right? Because what do you think? Somebody's 7 feet tall. Oh yeah, just drop it. Just drop it right in there to the basket. It'll be fine. He doesn't do that. He finishes at the rim. And I think that's something Indiana needs as well, because Malik Reneau was probably our best one at doing that a year ago. I was a little underwhelmed by what Umar Bala was able to do at the rim last year offensively. I just think he wasn't what we needed, and we struggled down the stretch because of it. And so IU needs to take a look at this guy. Christoph Tilly from Santa Clara, against 7 feet tall as a center. Couple of games that highlight, had 17 points in their finale against UAB, had 14 in their second to last game, had 21 back on March 1st in the West Coast Conference Tournament. I mean, he can play, and if you use him properly, I think it can be one of the focal points of your offense, and you're going to get really good defense out of him. 7 feet tall, 240 pounds, the rising senior Christoph Tilly from Santa Clara. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, we'll talk about another name. This one from Power 5, Anthony Robinson. Yes, a Virginia center who's also in the portal, plus how this can all benefit Indiana moving forward. All that coming up right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, hey, where did all my money go? Maybe not today, it's payday, but you may still say that anyway after you start paying all your things and eating out and doing all that stuff, right? It's easy to lose track of all of that, but that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts with your significant other, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress and the arguments. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful, right? That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. with Game Time Picks, that's their special service that they offer. Curation makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. It's going to do all the dirty work. It's going to pick the tickets you want, the best seats for the best price, and give you those right there. And with the all-in pricing, you toggle that feature, it's going to show your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So you know exactly what you're paying when you get on to the app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here again, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. Reminder, some football talk coming up at the end of the show with a position switch on the defensive side of the football from the D-line kind of to an edge outside linebacker. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but more portal talk here for Indiana basketball. But quickly before we do, if you're new here, thank you. I really appreciate it. And whether you're new here today or you're new here over the past week or two, folks, we just wrapped up the month of March, right? With this coming out on the 1st of April. That was the best month of the show in the history of its existence by a lot. And you are the reason for that. So thank you. Thank you so much for your support, for watching the videos, for listening on audio. However you support this show and this channel, it truly does mean the world to me. And I'm having so much fun, and I hope that you are as well. So thank you for a historical month in March of 2025. Can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds. And if you're listening on audio, you know the drill. Be sure you follow us, turn on those notifications, and leave us a 5-star review. Send it to everybody you know. We want them listening to Locked On Hoosiers. And if you're watching on YouTube, like it, hit the thumbs up. Helps it get out there for more people to find it. Comment down below. Who do you want to see from the transfer portal? Are you feeling good about it right now? Are you worried that as of this moment, Indiana doesn't have anybody in the portal, right? Or on the roster in general, other than what we believe to be coming in? Are you concerned about that at all? Let me know in the YouTube comments. And then if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It's free, it's easy, and you'll be coming every day, or you'll get notified every time we post a new episode. So do those things for me, and I really do appreciate you and your support of Locked On Hoosiers. All right, so we talked about Christoph Tilly from Santa Clara, the 7-footer who plays more like a forward on offense and a stud on defense. But there's another name, this one from Power 5, that we need to talk about. His name is Anthony Robinson, not the Missouri guard. We're talking about the Virginia center, more of a forward, I guess. Depends on the system he's in, right? But he's a freshman. He just finished his freshman season. And this is going to be more of one of those situations where you're banking on the potential, you're banking on the production, and I guess the development. That's kind of the word I was looking for there. Was you are hoping this is somebody that you can make better. And not that he had a bad season, but these numbers are not going to jump off the page. So let me go ahead and preface this with that as well. The numbers are not going to jump off and just be like, whoa, holy smokes, we got to go get this kid. But you're hoping for the potential that is there. As a rising sophomore now, just finished that freshman season at Virginia, 6'10", 238 pounds. He's from the state of Georgia. His freshman stats were 3.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and he shot it at 72% from the floor. And when I saw that number, that's the thing that kind of jumped out. I was like, 72%. That's pretty good. Obviously isn't averaging a whole lot of points, so he's probably not shooting the ball all that much, right? And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, he averaged about one make for every 1.2 for 1.7. He averaged just over a shot per game made for almost 2 shots taken. He didn't shoot and have very many opportunities, but he did make them when he got the chance, right? He, again, averaged just over 3.5 points per game. His free throw percentage was fine. It was 62%, not very high. Again, not very high volume. Rebounding would need to get better from a guy who's 6'10". But here's the thing. He only averaged 9 minutes a game. He didn't play all that much at Virginia, but the spurts are there. And that's why I wanted to talk about this guy, because I think the potential is in this kid. Their final game for Virginia against Syracuse, he had 8 points and 6 rebounds. In a game earlier this year on February 15th against Virginia Tech, he went for 15 points and 7 rebounds. That's pretty good, right? He shot 100% in the Syracuse game. He shot 75% against Duke, 80% against Virginia Tech in that 15-point outing. He shot 3 for 4 with 9 points against Pitt and grabbed 6 rebounds. So the off games or I guess not the off games, but the examples are there. The proof is there. But then you have some games where, yeah, he played 6 minutes against Stanford, didn't score a point, and only grabbed 1 rebound. Yeah, that's going to tank your stats. There's no doubt. But I think he plays his size very well. And I think he needs a system where, A, he just gets minutes, and B, he has the basketball in his hands. And I feel like this is someone you bring in if you're DeVries in Indiana, and he is a development piece. He's not one that's going to start day one, which seems to be so much pressure right in the transfer portal is, oh, you got to go get a starter, got to go get the next All-American, got to go get the next Hunter Dickinson if you're looking for a center. No, you don't have to do that. You can go and get several players who could be good for you down the road. And I think Robinson can be that from Virginia. I feel like that's something you can hang your hat on if you're Indiana, because remember, you have nobody on this roster right now, and you can't go get 17 starters. Doesn't work that way. You're going to go get a few. You're hoping to get 6 or 7 and then convince a couple of them to come off the bench. That's not Robinson. This is someone you bring in and you say, hey, we're going to develop you. We're going to make you better. We're going to give you minutes. And if you take advantage of them, you can be really good here. And again, the spurts are there. The flashes are there. Maybe that's a better word for it. The flashes are there. 7 points, 5 rebounds against Louisville. Mention that one. 6 points, 4 rebounds against Virginia Tech the first time. Bounce back against them the second time. Like, those are the ones that I look at, because that's not a fluke. This wasn't a one-game situation. He's got his moments. He just needs the basketball. He needs the chance. He needs the minutes. And I think you could get that at IU. With his size, his agility, his ability to run the floor, defense is fine. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's just off the charts right now, but you work on that and you get to mold him into what you want him to be. The guy played in Virginia. He knows how to play a little bit of defense, okay? That's what they are built on since the beginning. I'm just saying, I think it's somebody you should reach out to. You should at least consider. And if you're looking to fill some roster spots down the stretch, maybe put him on, maybe bring him in and give him a call, give him a visit and see what happens. I'm not saying he's going to be the next All-American. I'm not saying he's going to be the next player of the year. Couldn't tell you. Have no idea. And I don't even know if Indiana's going to fully go after this kid. I just think he's an option you should consider and you should at least take a look at. And for you Indiana fans, go watch, go take a look. I think it's worth it. Anthony Robinson from Virginia. Of course, Christoph Tilly from Santa Clara. We've talked about Flory from Kansas. You're going to have to get bigs in here, man. You can't run just 17,000 guards on the roster and hope that it works out. Don't think DeVries is going to do that, but I do think you have to get some bigs. And there's a lot of big names who are flying off the or off the radar, right? They're already starting to commit left and right and going all over the place. You got to get in there and get dirty a little bit and make this thing happen if you're Indiana. You do not want to be left out in the cold if you're the Hoosiers. And so we'll see what happens. Maybe there's news today. Maybe there's news this week. The portal dead period is about to hit from April 3rd to April 10th, which means you can't bring kids on campus, but you can still call them and talk to them and FaceTime them and do all that stuff. So it's kind of like a half dead period, if you will. You just can't bring them on campus for visits, but you can still call them and talk to them and do all those things. So, you've still got a little bit for the portal for Indiana. And I think once it starts, it will be a very domino effect. Like you're going to see one after the other after the other. You just got to get that first one in. And once you do, I think Indiana's going to be okay, but you got to get that first one. The fans are starting to stress, Darren. They're starting to stress a little bit. So let's get some guys in here. Let's get this roster filled out, and let's get going for 2025. All right, coming up, final segment on at Locked On Hoosiers, flipping over to football for just a few minutes because a big position change on the defensive side of the football, I think it's going to be a good thing. And I think it's good for several reasons. We'll talk about that in our final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is reliable. It's the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help on an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Be sure you're still checking out the bracket breakdown on your Amazon Fire TV. Mine pops up every single day, and I watch it every time they put out a new episode. Those guys are doing an incredible job. They're breaking down the Final Four right now, of course, of the eventual national championship game. All 4 1 seeds make it to the Final Four, second time ever, man. It's crazy. But those guys, Andy and Isaac from Locked On College Basketball, and so many of the crew are doing a fantastic job. So be sure to check that out. Just search Bracket Breakdown on your Amazon Fire TV, and they're going to have you covered for the Final Four. But we're going to talk a little football here just for a few minutes as we are wrapping up the show. As spring practice still going, right? We're still looking for some of those position battles and storylines, and haven't been any major bad stories, right? Injuries or anything like that. And so that's always good. But there was a position change that was announced the other day that we've yet to really jump on. And I wanted to talk about it for just a second, right? With a guy who decided to come back for another season at Indiana. And it's Mikail Kamara, who was one of your main leaders on the defensive side of the football last year that helped Indiana be the top defense in all of college football. At the defensive end spot, Kamara was an insane menace. I mean, that's the word I like to use. He was just a home wrecker. He was somebody who said, see ball, get ball. And that's exactly what Kamara did. And it's funny to hear the stories about after, the season ended and whether he wanted to go pro or come back to IU. And there wasn't really a debate. It was a pretty immediate decision is what I've seen from him and heard from him. And what he's told so many in the media is, yeah, I was coming back. I mean, we have unfinished business. We have work to do. I wasn't going to leave my guys in Bloomington for me to go to the pros. And so not only did he come back to Indiana, other guys have come back as well. And look, I think Kamara got some love, yes, in postseason awards and things like that, but he got shafted on a lot. And I feel that he is All-American level on top of D'Angelo Pons and Aiden Fisher. Like, the defense is going to be so good again for Indiana this year. It's one of the things that I'm not overly stressed about for Indiana football coming up this fall. I think you're going to be so set with the transfers you bring in and the guys you brought back. It's almost impossible to not be good. But with Kamara, he's not only trying to win a championship in Indiana, he's trying to get to the pros. He's trying to get to the NFL. And he got some feedback, right? Got some information, and he's going to make a move to the stud position. Now, this is one of those that's been developed and just kind of created over the last couple of years. But for Indiana, it's going to be mostly outside linebacker. He'll still play a little defensive end, but it's going to mix in with some outside linebacker kind of as a a joint position, if you will, to where he can do a little bit of everything. He can stand on the edge and rush off the edge, or he can move back inside a little bit, put his hand in the ground and get after it going up the middle. It gives him some more flexibility, right? It gives him the opportunity to do what he feels is best, and also what this defensive staff feels is best, depending on the plays that you're running, the sets that you're running, the team that you're going up against. I mean, this just allows Kamara to open up his and broaden his skill set and the ways that he can hurt you. He's more dangerous now than ever because he can go and line up at any position in the box right there, and he's going to come after you and get to the quarterback, find the football, and get the football. And that's what I love about this guy. And so, according to him and pretty much all the reports, right, 6'1", 265, he is completely switched to that stud position. That's just what he's doing now. And that's what he decided to do. So that's what he's going to do for Indiana. That's what they're going to want him to do in the NFL as well. But look for Kamara to be a leader on this defense, man. Look for him to be one of those communicators, one of the guys that can help change the plays at the line if needed. I'm curious on if Aiden Fisher still wears the green dot, right? Remember that thing on the back of the helmet? I would think so, but you never know. Maybe they'll switch that around. But look for those guys to just be dominant on the defensive side of the football. Again, I can't wait, man. They're just going to get after it. And look, they are going to be noticed. People know who they are, and they're going to be game planned for. But I think there's so much talent, it doesn't matter. I don't think you can game plan for all of them. And I think that's what Indiana's luxury is going to be this upcoming season on the defensive side of the football. But really excited to watch Kamara, who maybe doesn't get as much love as an Aiden Fisher or D'Angelo Pons because of the accolades. But this is somebody that has to stay healthy, that has to have a good season. And if he does, Indiana's going to have another top 10, top 5 defense, and not just the Big Ten, but in all in college football. So watch out for Kamara, who's now switching to the full-time stud position for the Indiana football defense. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here. I can't stress how much I appreciate it, how much fun March was, and I can't wait to continue that here in the month of April. All right, if you're listening on audio, follow us, leave those 5-star reviews, and be sure that you are turning your notifications on, sharing it with your family and friends. We want them all here on Locked On Hoosiers. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments, and subscribe to the channel. All right, we are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.